Welcome back to the Horror Movie Files. Though before we begin, I want to thank all my subscribers to the channel. At the time of recording, I now have over 80 subscribers. Only 20 more and I will have reached 100 subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support to the channel. I honestly thought reaching 100 subscribers would be an uphill battle, but you all have showed me it's possible with your support. Thank you all so much for giving this channel a chance. Though speaking of the channel, today's topic will cover one of the most iconic and beloved survival horror games, Resident Evil 4. This video contains images and descriptions of blood, death, gore, biological mutations, body horror, parasitic infection, undead monsters, subjects of dysmorphia, insectoid monsters, lots of giant bugs, decapitated individuals, and much more. If any of that makes you uncomfortable, then it's highly advised you click off the video. For those wanting to continue, let's begin with SCP-ADN. SCP-ADN, primary codename Las Plagas, secondary codename the Cult Parasite, object class Keter. Special containment procedures. All samples of SCP-ADN were transported to Site AG due to their high danger level. Each instance, regardless of variation, is contained at the on-site Level 5 Biohazard Labs. They are contained within 20 separate containment capsules with their variations labeled and contained within a biohazard storage box, stored within a biohazard freezer locked by an 8-digit passcode. But due to the highly infectious, mutagenic, and volatile nature of SCP-ADN, any Foundation staff that request testing must do so under protocol Tied Noose. The sole exception is a request from Level 5 Foundation staff. Within the Level 5 Biohazard Labs, there are AFA-3 units wearing specialized Foundation cloaking gear and armed with Foundation laser rifles. The AFA-3 units are to kill anyone who tried to take any anomaly stored within the Level 5 Biohazard Labs without Level 5 clearance. In the event of a containment breach, these AFA-3 units are to be relied on to ensure SCP-ADN and all other anomalies in the Biohazard Labs are protected. As an added precaution, there is an explosive within the passcode lock that will activate and kill anyone who puts in the wrong code. The code changes on a 12-hour basis, with only Level 5 Foundation staff knowing how to access this new code. Should the contained population of SCP-ADN variants go below 20, D-Class are to be utilized to increase the population through their infection. Description: SCP-ADN is a species of ancient parasitic organisms of unknown origin, resembling an elongated insectoid creature with multiple segmented limbs. These parasites can have a symbiotic relationship with their host, though how this relationship works is determined entirely by the hierarchy within the SCP-ADN species. Infection occurs to the eggs of the parasite entering the body, either via bodily fluid contact or, more commonly, forced injection. As stated before, SCP-ADN is an ancient parasite and therefore shouldn't be strong enough to live in the modern world. The only reason they currently exist is due to them being encased in amber, though that is not enough to keep them alive. However, recovered records show a researcher from Group of Interest, the Umbrella Corporation, managed to revive the parasites using SCP-AAY. DNA testing confirms this. By doing so, the SCP-ADN parasites were generated from centuries of damage on the DNA and are now strong enough to both infect and mutate the biology of humans. Upon infection of a human, the SCP-ADN implants itself into the central nervous system, specifically right above the ganglion area. Why the parasite attaches itself here and not near the brain is unknown. Every infected individual has a 5% chance of being a host of an SCP-ADN King instance. SCP-ADN King is the most essential to the SCP-ADN species, like a queen bee to a beehive. Once one is infected with an SCP-ADN King instance, they'll be able to control all other hosts of SCP-ADN parasites. The most common variant of these parasites is the SCP-ADN Pawn. SCP-ADN Pawn is the slave variant of the species. Once it infects a host, it will work as the exact opposite of SCP-ADN King. A host of this variant will suffer assimilation of the neural tissue, allowing the parasite to assume control over the host's motor functions. This will lead to several side effects, including heightened aggression, enhanced physical strength, reduced pain perception, cognitive deterioration, and loss of higher brain functions. This allows a host of SCP-ADN king to control them through telepathic communications between the parasites, though at the cost of them being no different to zombies personality-wise. The best a host of the SCP-ADN pawn variant can do is wield weapons, follow simple commands, and repeat certain phrases to mimic the appearance of being alive. This is not to say they are any less of a threat, as each one can handle any kind of weapon, such as a bladed weapon, a blunt weapon, guns, and explosives. Furthermore, they can easily overpower the common human in strength and even survive heavy damage to the head, instantly becoming more aggressive to their attacker as a result. It should be noted that all this is only when the host is within sunlight, as when out of sunlight, the host and especially the SCP-ADN parasite grows much stronger. When no longer under sunlight, the parasite is able to mutate and grow, commonly bursting out of the head and transforming into a thick, fleshy tentacle with a single eye and a blade at the end. Though it's possible for very different or very similar mutations to occur, it's always at the cost of the head. This leads the host to becoming a mutant monster of even deadlier force. Though this also means that once they are back into sunlight, the parasite will weaken, and without the head, the host will die. Originally, Pawn and King were the only variants of the SCP-ADN parasites in existence. Unfortunately, during his time alive, person of interest Osmond Sadler was dissatisfied with the lack of brain function and personality within the hosts, and wanted newer parasites that could follow complex orders and protect him with their increased power. This led to the creation of several SCP-ADN variants, labeled Queen, Rook, Bishop, and Knight. Those infected with the SCP-ADN Queen variant become superior to hosts of the Pawn variant in every way. They are still loyal to the host of the SCP-ADN King variant, but are able to keep their original personalities and intelligence, allowing them to follow more complex orders. Besides being much smarter, they are also faster and stronger than hosts of the Pawn variant. They can even regenerate from certain forms of damage, essentially making them all super soldiers. It's even possible for hosts of the Queen variant to give orders to other lesser variants like the King variant does. Furthermore, when out of sunlight and badly damaged, they're able to mutate their bodies into almost any form they desire. Field reports show various mutations, including transforming into a slug-like monster with acidic mucus, growing additional insectoid limbs, and being able to mutate the arms into biological weapons. Though the Queen variant is seemingly all-powerful, it is not unstoppable. Should the host take a constant, overwhelming force of damage, their bodies will fall apart, and they will die. The SCP-ADN Rook are parasites that have been heavily altered, resulting in more unusual mutations within the host. This variant is actually one of two that has its own subset of variants, labeled Rook 1, Rook 2, and Rook 3. Hosts of the Rook 1 variant are basically giants, not really that different to a Sarkic behemoth. This ironically makes them the least remarkable variant, despite their large size compared to other hosts. Hosts of the SCP-ADN Rook 2 variant are giant humanoid bugs that possess several anomalous traits, including flight, acidic spit, and camouflage. DNA testing has shown aggressive and heavily altering mutations, making it impossible to tell if the host was ever human to begin with. These instances are normally weak and can be taken down by conventional firearms rather easily. However, when in a swarm, which is their usual behavior, they can overwhelm enemies rather quickly. Hosts of SCP-ADN Rook 3 greatly resemble the Rook 2 variant, but are larger, stronger, smarter, and can develop unique abilities. What abilities they can possess is assumed to be both infectious and deadly, but otherwise unknown, as only two have been known to exist, both of which were not documented well during field reports. Testing to recreate these variants has led to more unpredictable consequences than results. SCP-ADN Bishop variants are also heavily altered, though through more unorthodox methods, often leading to equally unpredictable results. This variant is the second of the two that has its own subset of variants, labeled Bishop 1, Bishop 2, and Bishop 3. The SCP-ADN Bishop 1 variant is too big to fit inside a body and can live quite a while without a host. Instead, these variants normally work as support of other SCP-ADN hosts, often latching onto the host back and taking control, making them run faster and strike harder as a result. The Bishop 2 variants are quite particular as they don't infect humans but instead animals, most notably dogs. The result of this infection makes the dog much more ferocious with larger teeth and giving them the ability to grow whipping tentacles on their backs. Testing has shown that other animals can be infected with this variant, regardless of size, but dogs are the only ones who have a 100% stable bond, with no risk of falling apart or exploding. The SCP-ADN Bishop 3 variants lead to the most ferocious mutations, possibly linked to the fact that upon entering the host, the parasite multiplies. Each of these new parasites act as stabilizers of the body. As for the host, the face becomes grotesque with glowing sunken eyes and large ferocious teeth. The body becomes bloated with aquatic-like skin being able to slip and slide on the floor. The limbs of the host are even able to stretch out, allowing it to move unreasonably fast at random moments, and able to punch, scratch, or grab enemies from a distance. Because of the multiple parasites within the body, these instances are able to regenerate from any wound, with the only way to kill them permanently is to hit the parasites directly. Though even if one could manage this, there is a 20% chance the host will mutate further, allowing them to grow thin but long and sharp spikes all over their body. These spikes do not hinder the movement of the instance whatsoever, and can even stretch out to stab or rip apart an enemy from a distance. Finally, there are the SCP-ADN Night variants, which are the most peculiar in that they don't need a host to survive at all. Instead, these instances normally occupy empty sets of armor and can move them as if a normal humanoid. Their movement is jagged and slow, though they make up for this with their heavy armor and utilization of swords, axes, and spears. When they actually kill their prey, they release tendrils from the armor that drink the blood of their victims. The main weakness of these variants is that they're more sensitive to light than other variants, and need to hide within their armor when bright light shines on them. Though a few well-aimed shots on the parasite's eye, which normally sticks out of the armor, is more than enough to kill it. As stated before, the host of the SCP-ADN King variant has the ability to control all other SCP-ADN parasites and their hosts, but that is not what makes it dangerous. When out of sunlight and at any time they desire, the host of the SCP-ADN King variant is able to control the growth of the parasite and have it create large amounts of biomass. The host can even shift this biomass into whatever they desire, whether it be simple tentacles to an entirely new and complex body, full of dangerous appendages, armor, and flexible mobility. The limits to this growth are unknown, as recordings of the previous SCP-ADN King host was able to grow a mass of meters. Though, like always, even the SCP-ADN King variant can be killed and is weak to bright flashes of light. Testing has shown that no matter how much an SCP-ADN parasite is genetically altered or grows in strength, bright flashes of light, especially UV rays, will always be the best method to suppress and even kill them. Unfortunately, testing has also shown that once someone is infected, they must remove the parasite before 8 hours of infection. Otherwise, the parasite and the host will be mixed, leaving one unable to live without the other. There is currently no way to remove an SCP-ADN parasite that doesn't require extensive surgery and results in lots of pain and scarring afterwards. SCP-ADN was discovered in 2004 when the daughter of the President of the United States was kidnapped by a mercenary. What drew Foundation attention was the obvious political dilemma of the matter, as well as the anomalous level of skills the mercenary displayed. The Foundation deployed Mobile Task Force Aphrodite-6 Eagle Hunters, composed of NTF units that were actually there during the Raccoon City incident. They were assigned under the order of Dr. Wicked, and he stated their mission was to find the president's daughter before anyone else. The overall goal of this mission was to have the President of the United States owe the Foundation for saving his daughter's life, in turn guaranteeing more insurance that the United States will not hinder in any of the goals the Foundation has. Though on the mission, they ended up encountering person of interest Leon Kennedy, who is now an agent of Pentagram after surviving the Raccoon City incident. Unfortunately, he ended up being the one to rescue the president's daughter, ruining the plan to make the president a pawn of the Foundation. Though Dr. Wicked was successful in containing several SCP-ADN instances, he still declared the mission a failure thanks to person of interest Ada Wong. Please see Addendum X33 for details. Update 2009. New variants of SCP-ADN have been discovered during the incident. Recently discovered hostile group of interest, Tricell, created these variants in order to make biological weapons on the black market, as most of their customers were powerful Neo-Sarkite clans. This was the intended goal of a majority of members of the company. However, it was later revealed the true leader of the company was Albert Wesker, who merely used it as a cover for his true goal of global domination. He and his loyal followers created these variants within the village of Africa. Like previous variants, they have been genetically revitalized with new DNA, though this time not by SCP-AAY, but instead a more ancient and mutagenic virus called the progenitor virus. The Foundation is already familiar with and has records of this virus, and it should be noted that besides its high mortality rate, is considered unremarkable by anomalous standards. Despite this, the progenitor virus is responsible for creating SCP-AAY, SCP-ABE, and now the 3 new powerful variants of SCP-ADN. Like before, hosts of these variants become mindless yet strong and competent slaves to the parasite. Though unlike previous variants, domination of the host was instant, ensuring there was no way to remove the parasite and save the host. Additionally, members of Tricell were able to control the parasites, not by being infected themselves with a king variant, but by using sounds and frequencies. Lastly, parasites do not need to be in darkness in order to mutate, as they are now immune to all forms of light, even UV light, which was originally the most lethal form of light to previous variants. These new SCP-ADN parasites have been labeled Spirit Variant, Demon Variant, and Ghost Variant. Hosts of the Spirit Variant can be slightly stronger than the Pawn Variant, especially in regards to mutations. As stated before, they can mutate freely even in light, normally taking on grotesque mouth extensions to bite and rip apart enemies. Though if it ever feels threatened, it's possible for the spirit parasite to leave the host, but not before ripping off body parts to take with it. It will make use of these body parts to build a new body for itself, becoming a small but dangerous creature. These new creatures often resembling grotesque bugs and swarming together in order to overwhelm prey. The Demon Variant creates a much stronger host with more visible mutations all over their body. Such visible mutations include large crimson veins on the skin, growth in size of body and muscles, and abnormal growths on the body resembling barnacles or reptilian scales. Like previous variants, once the host is damaged, the parasite mutates the body as a defense mechanism. Though the demon parasite is able to inflict even greater and horrific mutations, the common trend among these mutations being an absolute monstrosity that doesn't resemble an ounce of humanity the host once had. Finally, there is the Ghost Variant, which is seemingly weaker than any other variant, even the Pawn Variant, but in reality, they are much more dangerous. Hosts of the Ghost Variant are not only capable of instant domination like the other 2 variants, but these parasites can use the body to breed more of the parasite. As such, rather than killing endlessly, they instead hunt for non-infected, quickly restraining them so that a newly born parasite can infect them within seconds. What makes the Ghost Variant peculiar is that it was discovered during the conflict between the Eastern Slav Army and the Cossack rebels in 2011. The parasites were weaponized surprisingly by both sides after they were purchased on the black market by Group of Interest Neo Umbrella. It should be noted that at this time the Foundation didn't know Neo Umbrella existed, because it was believed that after Albert Wesker died, what remained of his following crumbled. In reality, some survived and created the Ghost variant. It was discovered through field reports and testing that the Spirit variant has a 5% chance of not dominating its host, but instead becoming dominated. As a result, the host is now able to not only control other hosts of the Ghost variant, but even other variants of SCP-ADN. Further testing even shows it's possible for the dominant host to command armies of undead monsters created by SCP-AAY. How this works is theorized to be linked to the original variant being revitalized genetically with SCP-AAY. Though the question as to why no other variants have been able to achieve anything remotely close to this is unknown. More research is required. And that was SCP-ADN, and also quite possibly the second longest video I've ever made. Thank you to everyone for watching this video to the end. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as I upload new shorts every weekday and have a new video prepared every week. Also, don't forget to leave a like on the video and comment down below what you thought. All criticism is helpful to creators, so please don't hold back on your opinions. Though, if you're a new watcher here on YouTube, please also follow me on Tumblr, as most of my projects are there, including all the latest files, tales, and news about SCP horror movie files. Link will be in the description below. But, if you're more interested in getting access to content early, then please become a member of my Patreon. Just like The Shining Canyon, William Adams, and Cierra Hernandez, you'll get early access to 10 videos, 15 weeks worth of SCP Horror Movie Files content, view Patreon exclusive content, view my daily art posts, and be able to request what you want to make next, with your requests always being given first priority. I update my Patreon daily and always announce major updates, so as a patron you'll never miss out. Link is also in the description. Thank you all again for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.